I can't see the chat, so I'll take the questions later if possible.
Yeah. Hi everyone. Welcome to this to the new stream with OWASP Meerut. And today we have two speakers with us. I'm going to introduce the Meerut chapter leader, who's Hanut. So Hanut, can you please introduce the speakers?
Sure. So, hi everyone. My name is Hanat, and I am a cybersecurity researcher, and I have been doing bug bounty hunting for companies like Google, Xiaomi, and I have keen interest in network pen testing and web pen testing. So, currently doing my graduation in BTech cybersecurity, and in my chapter, to help me, I have two other chapter leaders, Vivek and Dr. Tina. So they both are cyber law experts, and they have 10 plus years of experience. So about Meerut chapters. So basically, starting with Meerut, Meerut is a city in the Indian state of Uttar Pradesh. It is an ancient city with settlements dating back to the Indus Valley civilization, having been found in and around the area. So it has a population of more than 1.5 million people, and 15 to 20% of which are youngsters who are keen into cybersecurity and their practices. But the only issue is there is no much platform to continue their skill set. So OWASP Merit has been giving on-site hands-on training to many youngsters having their passion in cybersecurity and helping them to make their skill set to the optimum level. And we are also planning to give 12 talks in the next 3 months to provide them more hands-on so that they can continue their passion. So today we are having a first speaker, Rahul Tyagi. He is the co-founder of Residius, an enterprise cybersecurity risk quantification platform company and backed by Cisco's former chairman and CEO, John Chambers. He's a part of Fortune magazine's 40 Under 40. He is considered among one of the top thought leaders in the country with one of the highest followership on social media. Rahul, over to you.
Thank you, Hanut, and thank you, Vanna, and thank you, everyone. Very good afternoon from India. My topic pretty much different from a traditional OWASP talk, but I think it's a need of the hour for everyone to understand what what is the real problem statement right now. We are fighting at the time of COVID-19 pandemic. Now, my talk will be centralized towards the traditional cyber crimes and frauds which are happening from last 3 to 4 months. And we have a threat intel team within our organization which keeps on digging more from deep and dark web and surrounding the crimes which are happening in India, especially. And I have few of the examples of that. And at the end of this session, I want that whatever you learn from this session, you should convey to your friends and families and help them to understand how these criminal minds work and how they can actually protect, especially at this time of COVID-19. So, as I told you, my name is Rahul Tyagi. I run a company known as Lucidus. We are a cyber risk quantification based company with 200 clients globally. We are backed by Cisco's former chairman, John Chambers. And I will address only 6 things with you, not more than that, to just to respect the time given to me. And first, we'll talk about what is the problem statement right now we are facing as an organization and as an individual, and especially for the small and medium businesses who usually don't have that much budget to spend on cybersecurity, but the human firewall, which actually they can protect, but they do not know how to protect. Then we'll talk about some social media frauds recently, how criminals are using social media to do more frauds. And the bad part about these entire scams and frauds which are happening right now is the scale of these crimes and the way they are organized. We haven't seen it before. Now, I'll give an example that the money India, or especially the Indian cybersecurity scenario, and the money we are losing in terms of frauds is far more than the money we are losing in terms of that if there is any technology vulnerability. So that's the reason I think it's pretty much important to focus more on the human firewall and how we can protect it. Then we'll talk about a little bit of spear phishing, one of the example of spear phishing. And I think 3 days back, I came across an e-commerce scam, and right now it's under investigation. How someone is impersonating to have a Amazon link and doing a fraud to a lot of people, and And second last will be the breached credentials, and sextortion emails are I fly high right now. And we have seen, especially for the C-suits of the organization, like CISOs, CFOs, and the board members, how they are being trapped within these kind of scams, and money is being extracted from them, and also the some of the confidential information. And last, we will talk about what is the learning from Lockheed Martin kill chain. And if you know about Lockheed Martin kill chain, that's great. If not, then I will try to explain it in a better manner. Now, let us talk about first of all what is the effect of COVID-19. And I can say that COVID-19 is the real game changer for cybersecurity. And and I think from last 10 years into this industry, I was trying my level best to make people understand that the level of investments we are doing in terms of DLP, WAF, or maybe the other technology aspects, we should more focus on the human chain also, because they are the weakest link. And I always say a saying that you can patch any technology, but there is no patch of human stupidity. You can only minimize that. And if you see the traditional budget allotment to the organization, majority of budgets are into the technology stacks and the solutions and security solution, but not on the awareness level of the humans and all. So no matter how big or how advanced security system you have, if a human is creating a problem there, then everything will go into vain. So these are the 3 to 5 challenges right now. We have seen that remote security is one of the biggest challenges for businesses, because businesses are not designed to work from home, and even we are working from home. How many organizations had a proper training of their employees to ensure that whatever they are working from home, they are pretty much know the attacks which can possibly be happening on them. Now that's a very big lack in most of the organizations we have seen. Now next is related. People related data breaches will continue to rise, and businesses will start spending on securing people. And this is a shift we have seen in terms of our clients. And from last, I think 10 to, I can say, only 1.5 months, we can say we have did an phishing campaigns for more than 30 to 40 clients of ours who never asked for it actually previously, but now they're pretty much worried about that. And I think in this situation, we have to ensure that these campaigns and phishing assessments has to happen in a very continuous manner to really mitigate the attack and aware people about these type of scams which are happening. Ransomware again is rising in a very serious way, and ransomware as a service, I would say. Now, and as per our threat intel team, what we have seen, and the classic example of this ransomware was the Maze ransomware, which was designed in a very particular shape, that it was not affecting the medical devices, but it was infecting all the other critical infrastructures which were there. So one more thing which I want to highlight here, that the another shift of being organized in terms of spreading the malwares, we have seen in the case of John Hawking's heat map of COVID-19, that malware which was spreaded through the website, and the website which claimed to show you the real stats of COVID-19 information. Now, the person who was behind this entire scam was named as XSS. He was from one of the dark web and deep web forums. And what we have seen is that the guy was doing this as a service and customizing the entire code with respect to your region. Now, usually criminal design a ransomware with or a platform which deliver ransomware into maybe English and all, and and the UI UX is kind of a standard way. But this is the first time when you pay to this criminal will let you fill an entire forum, that where you from, what language you prefer, and so on and so forth, so that the criminal can reach as much as people they can. So that's a little bit different scene we have seen right now. And next, obviously, we are all familiar with the Zoom happening and all other video platforms which are being targeted by criminals and security professionals for sure, to show the vulnerabilities and secure ourselves. And again, the last one, which is kind of a serious thing, which is it's kind of an increased activity on deep and dark web, because criminals is it's kind of an paradise world right now for criminals, because the intention for the pure attention for the law enforcement agencies and entire countries are not on or pretty much taking care of the cyber crime, but is saving people life, and they knew it and they know it right now. And that's why the scale has been growing in a very serious way. Now, what is the problem when I talk about the real privacy? If you really want to secure yourself today as an organization or as an individual, this is a real challenge. Traditionally, every organization thinks that if they impart knowledge to their employees, then they are pretty much secure. So, for example, if I train you, if I teach you about cybersecurity, what is phishing, what is spear phishing, keyloggers, trojans, so on and so forth, then I'll be able to mitigate the attack. But the problem with that statement is that knowledge is something else. But once you have the knowledge, it's not guaranteed that that knowledge will come handy at the time of when you behave according to the situation. So I'll give an example. Everyone will say you that always use virtual keyboard while using online banking, filling the online banking credentials. But how many people actually you do that? So that means that knowledge, we have the knowledge, right knowledge to defend ourselves, but at the time of a situation, the behavior is not appropriate according to you, according to the situation. So I think it's a time when the companies and individuals like us and you and me, yeah, has to be practical and focus towards more over behavioral understanding of the employees of an organization, how they behave. So the assessments, the awareness training has to be not on the knowledge, but knowledge is byproduct. When you behave right, that means that you have the right knowledge. But the assessment of the behavior of employees, and especially the user analytics and the user behaviors, is something is the need of the hour. So we cannot rely anymore on the knowledge impartment towards our employees, but how they behave it, that's one of the most challenging thing we have to address. And I think this is the real way of protecting our assets as an organization, as an individuals also. Now, I made this presentation very crisp because of 25 minutes I have. So I really apologize. I don't have much content there, but I will add a story to it so to give you the context. So this is the classic example we have seen from one of the person in Facebook. On the left hand side, if you see, it's in Hindi, but I will try to translate the same thing to in English too for other viewers to understand. If you see on the left hand side, there is a person who hacked into. In the blue one, there is a person who is a victim, and on the light gray one is the person who hacked into this account of this person, and now he's chatting with his friend to and asking for money transfer. Now, as you know, India is going through a very huge scale of digital payments, and I think we are the largest globally. We are the biggest country where we are using digital payments right now. And again, it's an opportunity for the criminals also, because majority of our citizens are not trained to use these platforms, but and they learn with the time for sure. So if you see on the left hand side, the person hacked into the Facebook and randomly asking people that he need money, and can you transfer the money to him from one of the wallets in India. And we have a lot of wallets, and he's asking from one of the wallet if you can transfer the money, and he's asking for 5,000 rupees. It's like kind of an I think $45 to $50, if I'm not wrong. You can calculate. So he's showing him a bank account number, and then the victim is saying that I don't use that. If you can send me some other, maybe Google Pay or some other platform to send the money. And in next screenshots, I haven't added there, but the person has actually transferred the money to this one. And then and the funny thing is, you may be asking that how these criminals, if you're receiving money, then obviously there has to be a back trace on them, and people can get them. But the problem is that the accounts which are being opened on the names, these are the names who are street people who are living under a bridge and all, but they have their national identity card. So these people have a tie-up with them. They give some money, and on the basis of their identity cards, they open the bank accounts, so on and so forth. So when the law enforcement agencies reach them, they can't go back and see who is the person. They reach to a person who's a beggar, and but he has the voter card or something like that. So that's a different situation there. Now, to protect from this attack, always remember, whenever someone is asking you for money, make sure that you call the person immediately and confirm once again. Don't do this thing in a fast manner, and it's better to not to send money only by the chat. You have to confirm from via call before sending the money. So that's the first thing we just learned. Now, this is a classic example of a second spear phishing. Now, customized phishing mails are rising right now in a very, very serious way. And this is an email from 2018, but there are so many emails like that. So people are trapping other also. So I call it the raw or sent. Um, I'll give you a small example of one of the there's one of my friend who's running a big organization, and he's a rich guy, but I'm not sure why he's asking for free Netflix account on his Facebook, and he put it a Facebook status that can anyone share a Netflix account with me? And because the status was public, criminals were trapping him, and they sent this kind of very crafted email to him, which looks very legit. And and the condition to get this Netflix 6-month account is to log in with your company email ID and password. Now, majority of companies are not using two-factor authentication as a standard way of protecting their email services, and that's the reason. So and they fall for that. And we are using the same template for a lot of organization at the time of phishing assessment. I can tell you that after our assessment, we can see that 10 to 15% of their employees fall for this scam, and they actually send us their username and passwords, and it's a very effective way. But if you see closely this email, this email template, if you pay attention to it, there are so many hints to showcase that this email is a fraud email. So first of all, the spelling mistake of Netflix is wrong, and then the spelling mistake of watching is wrong, programs wrong, and commitment is wrong. Now, that's a classic example. Usually these criminals, whenever they make these templates and all, they don't have the content checker or grammar checking people behind them. So no content check person is there. So they usually do the mistakes because they do this in a very massive scale. So, and they are not pretty much good in English usually. And I'm not sure every criminal is like that. But so that's an example. And second thing, always remember whenever you see these kind of mails, and when you want to click something, make sure you hover your mouse on the on this like it's written here, start your free 6 month. So you have to hover your mouse there and see on the left hand side where this link is, where this button is taking you, what is the real link which is going to open after clicking this. So this is the second thing I think you need to understand. And please try to use social media in a appropriate manner, because it's like your home door. You cannot open your door and anyone who's crossing by can see inside your house what's going on. But this is going with the social media, and especially this is for the youngsters who is watching this stream. Social media is a responsibility for everyone to use socially. So that's the reason we call it social media. So you have to be very, very careful in terms of revealing some information, because that information can come back to you in a bad manner. This is the latest scam, as I told you. This is a fake Amazon UPI based fraud, and I'm not sure I'm allowed to show you, but if you can see this link, you can open this link and actually see the link, and maybe I can try that to show you if it is possible. So this is a classic example of this scam. This is a real fake website, and you can see here, and maybe it's looking very vague to you, but this domain is designed only specially for actually mobile users. And if you can go down here, you can see you can buy the amount which is there, and everything is so legit in mobile. It looks very, very legit. And if I click on buy here, you will see now I'm moved to the shopping cart here, and I cannot change the any amount, and everything is fixed. And the only thing but it will be working on my, you can see it will be working on my mobile phone, because I have a lot of mobile wallets which are having UPI facility. It's a facility, it's an interface of transferring the money, and directly you will be sending 5,000 rupees to the criminals. Now, this is again as a classic example of the fraud which is happening, and I already did an investigation with my team, and we are behind. We are kind of close to do that. So this is kind of an campaign I'm running right now, and if you love to investigate, then you can do that. I will love to see that. So I'm doing already. This is the mobile wallet address where the money is going, and these are some reverse IP lookups and all. I already reported to GoDaddy, but I think last day I reported to GoDaddy, and it's they are watching it, and maybe I think a couple of days the domain will be down. So this kind of an example I can say. Now imagine a person who's a villager, or maybe who's a person who's not that tech savvy, and it's very difficult for them to identify whether it's a scam or not. And trust me, the amount India is today losing is not because of any technology problem. Being in technology, I say that we are one of the most strong engineering teams we have in the country, and it's proven all around the world that the development part is pretty much solid in terms of when it comes to Indian developers. But later the awareness problem is really causing a big pain for a lot of organizations and individuals, I can say. This is the second last thing. I think I'm not sure I'm over time. I think I have 5 minutes left, so I quickly wrap it up. So this is another example of breach credentials and driving sextortion emails. And uh, one of the CISO, and one is the board member of an organization. They approached us and they said they received these kind of emails. Now this is very interesting because. I think about a person who is 45 years of age and he's a businessman, and he's kind of an MBA guy who know only business but not that tech savvy. And when he see this kind of email, and instead of this word they will see their old password, they really panic. They panic really hard, and they're pretty much secure. They pretty much feel shady in that way. They feel scared. So they approached us, and what we saw here. So what criminals are doing basically, there are a lot of breached data information available on the deep and dark web, and there are a lot of services which will help you to get and or maybe buy these databases. And when you, for example, Ashley Madison database, or maybe the JW Marriott hack database. So when these database is being collected by the criminals, what they will do is now they have the username and the passwords mostly in the clear text. So and you will never forget your password. If in like 5 years back, if you have used one password, you always remember that. Now those passwords are already in the public domain. So what the criminal will do is they will collect the email, and from the email they will send that email, send this template to that email by using that password which was published in that database. So they will put the password here in terms of redacted, and then they will start the email. Now why they are saying that I am aware that this is your password, this actually builds the trust to the victim. So this is an impact. As you read the first line, you go all over the place, and then everything else doesn't matter. It just add more fear to the situation. And in most of the cases we have seen that people have really reverted that. So what solution I gave to them to make them comfort? I said, can you do one thing for me, sir? He said, yes, well, tell me. I said, can you copy paste the entire template and Google it, and Google search it? So he did that, and then he was laughing because that this is the same text which criminals has sent to a lot of people, and many people have reported that they have seen that. So it's not an individual. It was not an individual task to the person. So whenever someone will see these kind of sextortion emails they have found in your inbox and all, you have to tell them that don't panic and just search the content on the Google. And it's kind of an common sense versus artificial intelligence, and sometimes common sense will help you to secure yourself. uh, in the last, I think I will talk about a small thing for the Lockheed Martin kill chain. If you haven't heard about Lockheed Martin kill chain, if you are new to cybersecurity, and I think especially for the web application security experts, it's pretty much important to learn the entire approach of Lockheed Martin kill chain. It's kind of an extended version of the entire hackers development life cycle. I call it like information gathering, reconnaissance, and then maintaining access, then exploitation, then maintaining a set, and then exfiltration. So if this is kind of plus one to that, and if I have to shift my entire 10 years of cybersecurity in terms of the choosing the right products for your organizations to protect yourself, and all types of attacks, it can be web, network, mobile, and so on and so forth. Traditionally it was designed for the basic, like you need to have a cybersecurity infrastructure for the basic infrastructure. Then it went to then the approach went to reactive, and then it went to proactive. Proactive means you want to ensure that nobody will hack you. But I think today 2020 onwards will be the era where you have to protect your people, process, technologies from an perspective of predictive approach, where you could want to predict whether the hack will, what is the probability of breach should happen to my employees and to the organization. So I think this is all I have for you in this 25 minutes, and I hope that this will enlighten you with some of the scams which you can tell to your friends and help them to understand. And because the talk will be available for there, and if you have any query, please reach me to my Twitter and LinkedIn. I'll be more than happy to assist and share more documentation on that, which you can use in your organization to help the organization to protect themselves. Thank you so much, and have a good day.
Thank you so much, Rahul. Give me 1 minute. Let me put Hanud back in the stream. Hanud,
Is my screen visible?
not yet. You have to share
Okay.
your screen.
It is shared from my end.
Yes. Make it on full screen.
Yeah, just a second. Is it visible now?
Yes, it's visible. Thank you so much, Rahul.
Thank you,
Thank you.
Rahul.
Thank you so much. Have a good day. Shall I leave if you don't mind?
Yes, absolutely.
Okay. Thank you so much for having me. Take care.
It-
Uh, Thank you. So our next speaker is Sanjeev Multani. He is a cybersecurity researcher and lead InfoSec speaker at Lucidius Inc. He has been giving 20 plus thousand hours in training around the globe. Having expertise and kernel expert in buffer workflows, he has been doing network security assessment and team pet testing into multiple organizations. Sanjeev, over to you.
Thanks, Sonu, for the wonderful intro. Hi, Vandana. Hi, Bharat. How are you doing?
Hello, we're good. How are you?
I'm so let me share my screen.
You need to share the PPT and then we can add to the stream. And we can't hear you, Sanjeev. No, your voice is not there. We still can't hear you.
He's figuring it out.
No. Do you want to go sign out and come back in? Because we could hear you earlier. So, hi everyone. Stay tuned on the channel. We are facing some technical difficulty and we'll be back in like a couple of seconds. We'll be on the stream.
Vandana, I'm audible now? I'm audible, right?
Yes, you are audible. We can't see you, but you are audible. Yes. Sanjeev? Sanjeev, I think we lost you again.
Yes, I'm audible now.
Yes, you are audible now.
Yeah.
Yes.
Thanks, Vandana. Yeah. Sorry for the glitch.
It's okay. It
Happens,
happens. Yeah.
Yeah. Hi, everyone. Sanjeev this side. Let me share my screen back again. And we have 23 minutes right now. So I don't want to waste much time now. And I guess we should get started. Yeah. So
Okay.
let me get back to my presentation and so that we can start. Yeah. Can you see my screen right now?
Absolutely. You're good to go.
Thanks. Yeah, sure. So, so today's my talk about like getting started with exploit development and all. So, first of all, good afternoon, namaste, hola, assalamu alaikum, sat sri akal, and good evening and good morning wherever you are. I hope you are doing fine in the COVID-19 era, and like we have to stay home right now and just stay safe. So, first of all, about me, like who am I? So my name is Sanju Multani, and I'm a proud Indian and a security analyst and lead infosector at Lucidius Incorporation. And I'm an infosec speaker, like giving training from last, you can say, like 3 years and 4 years. And I've been like giving training into multiple corporate sector as IS awareness, secure code reviews, kernel exploitations, blah 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 stuff. And with that, I'm keen into like kernel exploits and more about like buffer overflow attacks. The buffalo flow is something like which I am like very much interested into, and it's more about my life into that thing. And I'm into network security assessment, so I basically deal with network security assessments and multiple penetration testing stuff into network basics. And like moreover that, I go with kernel exploits and exploit writing. Yeah. So right now I'm dealing with red team pen testing also. So we'll be going with more of the stuff with the time. So today is my topic about something like what is exploit development. So just getting before to the exploit development, like we should have a little bit understanding of what is exploit and how exploit works and all those stuff. So exploit is something like where we like find a vulnerability, find a loophole into a machine or in a service which is running in a particular machine via a port number, and then we get some access to a particular machine. That machine can be anything. It can be a IoT device or something like that. So, what actually is exploit development? Whenever it comes to my mind, when I talk about exploit development is something like you break the things and then you make the things which break the things. So, I'm not kidding. Like breaking the thing and you make the things which break the things. What does it actually means? So, I know it will get some little confusing for all of you, but let me get it more clear to you. So let me rephrase my question and let's not start with exploit development. Let's start with a simpler question again. So my question will be like, what to all exploit researchers over here? What is your favorite kind of attack or your priority attack, or in Hindi we usually say server-priya. Server-priya is like mostly loved attack or something like that, which you or exploit you can say, which you always feel that this is a thing which you should get whenever you do exploit writing or whenever you do assessments or network assessment or web assessment, any assessment cycle. What is your attack which you feel like which is your favorite attack? And it's something like you should always get it out, like which is at the top favorite list of yours. Like the IMDb top 10 movies is the IMDb top 1 attack, something like that. So like I guess we'll be having multiple guesses over here. So I guess you're guessing it right. So it also happened in 2017 when NSA got breached by a famous hacking crew, the Shadow Brokers, and Shadow Brokers basically breached out NSA, and they came out with a particular like exploit series. That exploit series was MS17010, and basically it like hacked and brutally hacked, you can say, Windows operating system. And with the name of MS17010, it gets a security titles and a CVSS score of 10.0 and 9.8 into Mitra Corporation. So when I talk about this MS17010, how this MS17010 came and what actually is this MS17010? So I'm talking about that attack, which even Mitra Corporation like has defined that this attack is basically the topmost attack, or you can say like the top dangerous attack in this planet Earth. And you can see it over here itself. Like they have given the particular stuff and they're using some words like memory buffer or something like that. So the attack which I'm talking about right now is, yeah, you're right, remote code execution. Remote code execution is something like most of the people loved it. Even I love it more than anyone else. And remote code execution is something like which we always see through or go through when you go for like any assessment cycle or any auditing cycle. And when you go for any pen testing stuff, we always find like we should have remote code execution or we should have RC. Why RC? Because obviously you penetrate into a computer or you penetrate into a machine which is having a host or IP address, and like what you do is without letting them know, you get the access of that particular machine, or you can say the shell of that particular machine. But when you say that remote code execution stuff, what actually is remote code execution, like how they are created, what and what basis they are created basically. So every remote code execution over here is basically on based on kernel exploit, or you can say more over buffer overflows, and moreover, like you can say exploit writing stuff. So not every I can say, but yeah, moreover 90% of them. So 90% of them, the attack series numbers which we usually go through from the metric authorization are majorly gone through like the remote code execution part. So when you talk about this remote code execution, the first thing we have to understand is how they have been created and how we can create our own remote code execution into a particular vulnerability. So for that, we have to understand that how exploit writing works, how kernel exploit works, and how the stuff works. Like that is again a big concept, but for that stuff, we should again let's understand like what actually is exploit writing and how we can go through it. So exploit writing is actually a process where you intentionally and manually intentionally you basically crash a particular application via a particular vulnerable service, and by doing fuzzing, or you can say by fuzz them. And what actually is fuzzing, I'll let you know in the next 2 minutes. But fuzzing is something which is the most important thing and most wonderful thing ever, which I've ever seen in security practices. And while doing fuzzing, basically you crash a particular application in such a way so that the particular application is get into the not responding state, and then you modify that particular code which you are using basically. So exploit development is something where you break the stuff and break the stuff again. You break the stuff and then you make the things that break the stuff. So I'll get come up to this sentence again. What do you mean by you break the stuff? You break the stuff means you do fuzzing part, and while doing breaking the stuff, then you come up to you make the stuff that break the stuff. That is actually the exploit writing code or the exploit code which makes you by breaking the stuff off. So when I talk about writing and exploit development is actually a process where you break a particular application by using some service vulnerability in most of the cases. So when you talk about that, what actually happens. So I'll give you like a kind of example. So for example, you log in into a Facebook like application or something like that, and it's asking for a username and password or credentials, you can say, to log in into the particular platform so that you people can go through that and just log in and get to the particular page. What I do is I don't enter my username password. I enter some random values. Random values, something like some junk characters or something like that. So my username is, for example, Sanjeev, but I didn't enter Sanjeev. What I enter is A's, like 1,000 A's or 2,000 A's or something like that. So what that A's will do is that A's will initially crash. I'll come up to that point again. But after the crash, what will actually happen? So whenever we do exploit writing, we need to get a particular specific kind of a error, and that specific kind of a error is usually known as segmentation fault. That is actually the cute kind of a error. And segmentation fault is something means that whatever we are sending from the front end, it actually goes to the kernel of the particular machine, or you can say of the particular service. The next thing will be like, for example, how it will go through. So, for example, you are logging into FTP application, and in order to log in, what you will do, you will FTP a particular IP or a host name or any domain basically, and after that, you will enter a particular user, and then you put the username over there. Then you enter the password, and then you put the password over there. This is the usual stuff what we do basically. This is what you do at every logging platform, at every logging scenarios and all the things. What I do in that case is I don't enter the username and password like this. I enter the username like this and the password like this. Can you see this A's? Now this A is, according to you, what is this? This is A into, I don't know how many characters are there, but you will be like what are these A's are doing over here? I'll let you know what these are A's are doing over there. But when you talk about these A's, do you think this is a normal password? Like who on the earth will put this password on their like on their any logging platform or something like that? So this is not a password actually. What I'm doing is I'm tampering a product intentionally. So this is not these only A's. These A's will continue like this, obviously, because you're doing fuzzing and you have to enter like A's as much as you want. Then you will enter A's like this, and like you will enter the A's in a continue format. And after these much of A's, I guess these are something like 5,000 to 6,000 A's. And after these 6,000 A's, what you will have is the FTP will get died. So when you talk about this part again, like what actually happened when you did that. So this is something like when you're putting some values into a particular application because of improper validation or improper, you can say exception handling part or exception handling check. This application got crashed because it was not accepting this much of A's. It was accepting a normal username and a normal password. Every application expect that. Every application expect in the basis of a developer never thinks like, usually developer never thinks like who will enter these A's into the username and password. They will think the person will enter the username or the person will enter the password, not these A's kind of stuff. Like who on the earth will do that? So we people are some kind of geeks and nerds who do this kind of a stuff and who crash the application. So this is the first part we have to do, like in every export writing manner. Export writing basically means you break the application in such a way so that your data becomes a part of a kernel again. So when you talk about this part again, what actually is fuzzing and what actually happened at that moment, why actually FTP died, you can say. So most probably the code must be having a value like this, character pass, and my bad, yeah. So a value will be like it will be having an array and with the name of pass, a variable over here which will be having a value of 20. Now this is usually what developers do. They like decide an array or they decide any like data structure or any variable data types. And what they do then next is they define a particular data flow in that, and like it will be having some random value. Yeah, it must be having some value, some limit or some exception length. That limit is always there, like even if you don't put some value between these brackets or something like that in the array format, it must be having some value where it cross. Usually it gets crossed after 256 in array. So it always having a value which it will crash and cross it off. So, but again, what do you think? The size will be 20. If a developer has written 20, so that means it will only ask for 20 characters or 20 A's. No. It's not like that. So this is something like whenever we enter some values or something like that, the developer must be using a compiler to compile the program. Obviously, yes. So we like from my 12th standard or from my like earlier times, we are basically studying that every integer is of 2 bytes, every character is of 1 byte, and blah 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 content. So this is completely wrong actually, because these things always depends and like matters into the compiler and compiler. So compiler varies the size of their particular data structures and variable size. For example, the developer must be using a compiler, for example, where they're taking 2 bytes for a character for a char size. So if they're taking 2 bytes for a char, that will be 20 into 2, and it will be equal to 40. The 40 will be basically a space where you can enter a particular password. That means you can enter 40 bytes as a password space. 1 byte will take one character. That means you can enter a password of 40 characters. And I guess that is like usually enough, because no one puts passwords more than 40 characters. Who put that? I guess we put 16 character password, 20 character password, 24 character password. To be honest, we don't put password of 24 characters or of like 30 characters or 40 characters. So 40 characters is more than enough, I guess. But what happened is the A's I sent into that particular password scenario. Do you think they're 40? They're not 40. They're more than 40. They're even more than 400. They're even more than 4,000 again. So what actually happened is the data which we usually send has been a part of the code, and after getting the part of the code, it flows into the kernel application. So the kernel of that particular application gets that particular A's, and somehow the application got crashed because it was not expecting this much of A's again. So the first thing you always need to get is like whenever you get a particular like application, and whenever you want to do exploit writing stuff, the first thing you need to get is something known as the crash part, because when without the crash you cannot like get the particular exploit writing stuff success. So the next part is, after getting this crash, what actually will come? The actual thing which will come is again segmentation fault error. So what actually is this segmentation fault? I've repeated this almost 3 times over here. What is this segmentation fault and what actually it do? So most of the people will be like, when they're not understanding segmentation fault, most of the people will be angry at me and will be looking at me like this. They say segmentation fault one more time. So please have patience and let me tell you what actually is segmentation fault. So this is kind of an error which indicates memory corruption. So this is something like you have a bucket and you can only fill 25 liter of water inside that bucket. What you do is you initially put like 100 liter of water into that particular bucket. When the water will get overflowed from that bucket, you will have this kind of error that is known as segmentation fault. This means the water has been already filled into the complete stack and it is filling out of the stack. This means it is overwriting some parts, like some parts of some pieces of the code in the kernel, basically. So this is a kind of error which CPU produce when something tries to exceed the memory or access the part of the memory which it should not be accessing again. And when we basically access the memory which we should not be accessing, what kind of memory we are actually looking for? So we are looking for some execution pointers like EIP, because if we access those execution pointers, like basically I can hack your machine. I can like I can. It's not a. I'm saying machine again. So it's not about laptop or it's not about computers. It can be a mobile phone. It can be a laptop. It can be a CCTV camera, DVR, or something like that. It can be anything again. You have RCs of like you can say PlayStation man. So PS4 is even having a remote code execution. So it doesn't depend on a particular laptop or computer. It can be on any machine again. So segmentation fault is the first thing which you should get in every export writing stuff. So the next thing we have over here is like fuzzing again. So, but fuzzing is used to be a old techniques again. Fuzzing is something like we people using it from earlier time, or you can say from 1994 or 1995's time, and we are doing fuzzing kind of stuff. Like, and what actually is fuzzing? What actually the loophole, or you can say disadvantage of fuzzing is, we don't know at what number, or you can say what stage the application should get crashed, or the application will be crashed, or something like that. So we people have replaced this fuzzing technique with a like new technique, you can say, and this new technique is known as spiking. Spiking is much advanced, and it's same technique. Don't worry, but it will be much advanced and it will be much useful when you talk about the fuzzing scenario. I'll be showing you how to do fuzzing, how to do spiking part in next few minutes. So let's come to the next part. The process, and I usually call them waves. So how you basically do exploit rating and how you get the shell basically. So first you basically start with spiking and fuzzing part. Spiking is always like either you start with spiking or either you start with fuzzing is like it's up to you totally. But I refer everyone that you should start with spiking part first. The next part is you write your own like exploit code over there. It's majorly on Python or it can be on C also. What exploit code is actually having? The exploit code is actually having socket programming where you define some sockets which send some data from one machine to a different machine, and then you have to find some crash offset. I know they are looking like some nerd languages and nerd abbreviations, but once you understand these stuff, it will be much useful, believe me. Then what you have to do is you have to control some execution registers like EIP, etc., etc. Then you have finding the right modules and the addresses, the DLLs basically, and then you put your payload into some addresses, and then you get the shell. Shell is again the access of your machine. So when I talk about that, let's come to the demo time. Yeah. So I'm shifting to a demo over here, and I'm having my Kali machine running over here, and also I'm using a Windows machine. So this is my Kali machine, and this is my Windows machine. So what I'll be doing is I'll be showing you how basically spiking works. Guys, can you see my machines right now? Vandana, Anu, can you see my machine? Can you please reply? Thanks. Yeah. So let's understand like how spiking basically works and how the things works out. So when I talk about this part again, for doing spiking, you have to understand like what kind of parameters you are having for a particular application. So the first thing I started out over here is I just find out the IP which are in the network right now, and I just make it to 5 minutes. I know we are lack of time right now, so I'll complete it in 5 minutes over here. So I got this IP in my internal network, and I just want to do some parameter testing, like what are the parameters we are having and what are the services we are having in this particular IP. So I just unmap it out to get the particular port numbers or particular services which are running, and it shows me that we are having multiple services which are running over here. So what I have to do is I have to run a particular vulnerable service, you can say, which should get some particular parameters. So the vulnerable service which I'm running is a server over here. This is known as one server. So this one server is kind of vulnerable enough, and it is having some parameters, you can say, which is having some particular buffer overflow techniques, or you can say exploit rating techniques. So it is showing me a port number over here that is 9999. So what I do is I start with the, like you can say, process of spiking. So I can use telnet or netcat over here. I prefer telnet. So like everyone has their own choice. So I just start with telnet and I just open with a particular IP and the port number. So the port number which it was showing us earlier, it was 9999. So I just hit enter, and as you can see, it is showing us that you have entered into the vulnerable server. So over here, it's asking that please enter help for help. What I do is I try entering help over here. What help will do is it will list us every command and every parameter which is related to a particular service. Now these commands must be different, but this is not two different commands from a different services. Like when you talk about FTP has parameters like user, pass, use for user for username, password. Same thing like this. These parameters are having stats, R time, L time, blah 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 stuff. So these parameters are over here to find out, like, and we have to like again run by run with each parameter to find out that which particular parameter is actually vulnerable. So what I do is for doing the spiking part, the first thing we have to do is we have to attach that particular application into a debugger. So I'm using immunity debugger over here. Why a debugger? I'll tell you. So when you talk about kernel, and exploiting is again a kernel exploit. So when you talk about kernel is always based on assembly language, and it always have hexadecimal values, and it's again on the hardware level. So when you talk about the kernel part, always uh, just a sec. Yeah. So we are on, and I just play it out. So this is the kernel part again. So for seeing the kernel, the data should be entered into the kernel level and not on the OS level. So for understanding that, we have to understand that whether the data is coming to the kernel or not. So for seeing that, like we have to see the kernel anyhow. So we are seeing the kernel by using a debugger. So I am having the debugger on right now, and it is showing me multiple black screens like the hacker mode on. And what I'm doing next is I'll be using a spiking code for doing the spiking parameter. So the spiking code over here is I have already created a code. This is a kind of a code which we are basically going to use. This is a structural programming code which we are using, which is using string parameters, and it is entering some values into the code. So this code is something like this. I'm just reading a particular line, and it's asking some, you can say, parameters. So you have to enter some params over here, any kind of parameter you can say, and then you have to enter some variable. What does zero means? Zero means you enter the variables into the infinite mode. That means into a particular loop, and that loop will again crash the particular application again and again and again. So what I'm doing over here is I have to enter a particular parameter. So I know the like vulnerable parameter. I can show you with a different parameter first. So for example, I take this stats parameter. I put this parameter over here and I just paste it out. And you have to give a space. Why a space? Because you can see after this parameter, they are having a space over here. Again, like user space username. Again, like this. So I just save it out and over. So what I have to do is I have to use a
Sanjeev,
tool. Yeah.
sorry to cut you short. We are only left with 1 minute.
Sure. So I just show you out for the vulnerable parameter part. So I just put the particular parameter over here. The parameter over here is run, and my parameter is good to go. So I just enter the particular command. The tool which we have to use over here is generic send TCP, and we have to put the IP of that particular machine. And that IP of that particular machine was this. Good to go. And the port number and param code and zero space zero. Zero again, like it defines that the infinite values again. So I just hit enter, and you can see that it is started the fuzzing part over here. If you can see it out, it is doing fuzzing variables with some particular infinite values. If you can see the debugger over here, you will see that debugger has been crashed and it has put some values A. If you're able to find out this kind of stuff into like any application, you can do explorating very easily. So this is the kind of a stuff which I wanted to show in this talk, and I hope you liked it. Sorry for the glitch which happened in the starting of the talk. And over to you, Vandana. Thank you for having me over here. I just stopped the stream over here. Yeah.
Thank you so much, Sanjeev, and the Meerut chapter for joining us today. Hopefully, we'll see you next time when we have it. So thank you so much. You can answer
Sure.
all the
Take care.
questions on
Bye.
the chat box. Yeah.
Sure. Sure. Thanks. Thanks.
So thank you so much, everyone, for joining in this stream. I'm your producer, Vandana Verma. Next, we have our Israel chapter. So stay tuned on the channel, and Israel chapter will be live in just 1 minute on the channel. Thank you so much.